everybody, and welcome back. Okay, so you've seen the time lapses. I've obviously been working on a door, and you may ask yourself, Caleb, why are you working on a door? It's because I'd really like to see what this curly pine looks like after it's shellacked and it's waxed and it's beautiful and it's perfect again. So I chose one of the roughest doors in the house, which is the first floor bathroom door. You saw that last week in the hallway. So let me show you guys why I think it's the hardest door, because there's some real damage to this door. I also don't know that it was always on the bathroom. So a couple of weird things, let's go over them real quick. So first things first, this is the top of the door, and you can see there is a huge chunk of wood missing here. And you may be asking yourself, well, what is this thing here? This is something I put on top of there. This is actually gonna be a jig for my router, because I'm gonna take layers off of this. I'm gonna leave these alone, the upright pieces, but take out that chunk as deep as I have to, and then glue a new piece of wood on top. Hopefully, I can match the grain real nicely, but you can see my little jig here, which allows me to get access to all this damage here, and have a surface for my router to sit on so I can get it perfectly flat at the same time. So, you know, it's just some flooring. They were actually using this as wainscoting on the kitchen. It's just, engineered flooring. I just put some pocket screws in it, and yeah, it's nice and sturdy and strong, and should allow me to get this nice and flat. Along with that, there's also damage on this side, and actually on this side is what leads me to believe, oh sorry, wrong side. So, and then we get to this side of the door, which is the side with the hinges. You can see all the holes and stuff here. Somebody at some point cut this door down. This side is actually slightly shorter than this side. Why they did this, I don't know. They obviously cut the hinge side over that side because all your hardware comes out of that side, like your knobs and stuff, and those are hard to refit. Whereas this side, you can just screw the hinge to it. They also moved the hinge way up on this part and way down on the other side to, I guess, not have to deal with these holes. So assuming they just didn't want to deal with these holes, but there's also another factor on why they move these hinges way up, and I'll have to take you down to the hallway to show you that. So we are down in the hallway where I've been removing the ceiling and all that fun stuff. And here's the bathroom. Now here's where those hinges would go. Why this is so chewed up, I have no idea. But it's not just there, it's on the bottom as well. And I can't figure out why that is. But you see how low this hinge is mounted? This is one of the hinges that was on there. It's mounted all the way down by the plinth block, which is, well, it's wrong. It's not right. You can see where the original hinge pocket was right here. And it's just been blown out. I don't know why. Essentially what I'm gonna have to do here though is take this piece of trim off and remake this piece right here. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this piece here is capped on to that to make that work, but regardless, this piece has to be made new, whatever that takes. So while I probably will get the door upstairs re-shellacked and all that stuff, I highly doubt that I will be hanging it anytime soon. But it'll be a nice look for you guys about what that curly pine really looks like once I get a piece cleaned up and perfect again. So that's the plan this week. Also, the reason that is the plan this week is because it's been a rather wet week. My plan was to do some work on the outside of the building, specifically the stone front. I want to start stripping the entire stone front because of all that awful paint, and I can't get to it because of the water. So I'm hoping next week, or at least a little later this week, it'll be dry enough to go ahead and accommodate all that. So yeah, fingers crossed for dry weather and that the temperature holds out, mid 60s for the next month and a half. That'd be really helpful. So weather, if you can make it happen, that'd be great. Thank you. So router set up, ready to go, and we're just gonna make shallow passes until we get down to the bottom of the damage. And then we'll cut a new piece to repair it with. And like I said, hopefully I can find some of the older wood that I have that matches the grain pattern close enough. Again, when you have damage like this, there's not a whole lot you can do except for patch it. Wood filling it would be, it just wouldn't look right. Not that this is gonna look perfect either. And I couldn't just go get a new door because, where do you find this? So I guess the other option would be to take this entire piece off, which seems really, really tricky as well. I don't have the bits to make this shape. I don't have the machine to do it. So essentially I have to use what I've got, and what I've got is, basically I have to do what I can do within my ability. And within my ability in machines at the moment that I have, like my router, I can at least replace that top piece there. So yeah, let's get to it. Before we get going into too much though, guys, I know that the ghost video, maybe ghost video, I still think it might be my father, is a little hard to see. So I'm gonna put a little red circle around it now. And you can decide if it's a ghost or not. I don't know. It might not even be a red circle I put on it because maybe that was hard to make. Maybe it's a red arrow. But hopefully it should help clear up some of that because I know a lot of you guys had a really hard time seeing it. Again, do I think it's a ghost? I have no clue.
Almost forgot to tell you guys, I did my first podcast this week as well. It's called the Big Seance Podcast with Patrick Keller, and it was a lot of fun. I highly suggest you guys check it out. There will be a link in the description, and I believe it comes out tonight, which is Monday night. But keep checking over there. Like I said, it was a lot of fun. Patrick's a great guy. So I'll leave those links there for you guys if you guys want to check it out.
And we're back. So let's start with the biggest project of the week, which is the door. And I'll show you guys what it's looking like. So you guys ready for the reveal? Now, this doesn't have every layer of shellac it needs on it quite yet, but it's looking pretty good. Especially right here, just because of the way the lighting is right now. You can see kind of that holographic nature of the curly pine, which is absolutely stunning. That's why I was so excited about getting some shellac on this, because it changes everything. Now, of course, this does not have all the coats it needs on it. It does need to go a little bit darker, so it probably needs about 2 or 3 more coats, probably. Keep it going a little bit darker, and that should make it turn out wonderfully.
Now to the repair, and maybe a few of you have already spotted it, but as you can remember, I cut the top off of this up here, and that's the repair right there. The line there, you can tell this has a lot more rings in it than it does here. This is probably closer to this end of the tree. So from this side, you can kind of see it a little bit better. Got that part that wasn't working out, that was all damaged, and you can see the little holes that I drilled. There's screws in here, so it's wood glue and screw. There's Kim back there. She's working actually on the hardware for this door right now, which you'll be able to see in her video if you head over to her channel.
Second Empire Strikes Back vlogs, y'all.
So yeah, that's what's going on with the door. This took a lot longer than I thought it would this week. The patch here is actually made up of some of the flooring that I used in the maid's hall, because it's a very similar wood, similar age, and that's why we get a similar color out of it. But the other thing to note is if you do have lead paint on anything, it is some of the hardest stuff to get off of woodwork. Even with my fabulous Cooper Strip Club, my stripper that I like to use, it's still rough going. The stuff just turns into a milky substance, and the side of the door that faces inwards to the bathroom was covered in that, and it took about a day and a half just to strip one side of the door. The other side took about 2 hours. So big contrast between the types of paint that you find on certain things. Luckily, most everything in the house isn't that really nasty lead stuff, so it comes off real easy. So thank goodness for that. So let me take you guys down to the hallway, and I'll show you some of the other really, really wonderful things I got going on. Actually, before we get to the hallway really quickly, I want to show you a few things that a new friend of mine named David brought to me. David was coming by from Indiana on his way to Colorado, and he dropped off some really impressive items. And so thank you, David, but I want to show you guys how amazing these pieces are. So let's get into that. So first thing first is this rocking chair, this platform rocker. Now it's a little dark in here because we are in the afternoon, but the veneer on this is absolutely wonderful. It's in basically perfect condition. I do actually believe this might be the original upholstery. David thinks so too. This was actually his grandmother, so it has history to his family, and it's amazing to share, that anybody would want to share something like this with me. And you know, I think the springs are so cool. That's how it rocks, of course. You see the springs wiggling there. It's really cool. And to make for sure that I can keep up with anything maintenance-wise on it, he also brought me the springs that go with it. So if I need a spare spring, I'm covered. And I don't, you know, it's amazing. If anything even ever happens, I have the ability to repair that, which I think is quite rare to be able to find springs like that. And he wanted to keep it in such good condition that he found the springs to go with it. And I think that's absolutely amazing. So moving on from the amazing rocking chair is this absolutely incredible oil painting, which I think will go so perfectly here in the house. Sorry, excuse the pops, I'm stepping on bubble wrap, but the little scene over here with the little church, a small village, probably somewhere in Europe. But it's a real oil painting, and I mean the frame on this, guys. Check out how thick the frame is. I mean, there's my hand here, but it's a hefty frame, and yeah, that's definitely going to go in one of the parlors, somewhere in here, because I think that is absolutely perfect for the house. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. And then you might have noticed it hanging out over here. But this is an old print he brought me as well, which is also incredible. Now you're getting my reflection in it, of course, and the lighting isn't the best. But again, it's an old print of a European scene, maybe somewhere in Belgium or Holland. Hard to say exactly. You probably couldn't even recreate this where this was if you wanted to, because of World War II and the amount of lost buildings in Europe. But again, absolutely stunning. Absolutely beautiful frame, and I think this yeah, these are pieces that, yeah, well, now they belong to the house. I mean, now they're part of a new, I don't know, story for the house. Like this, you know. I mean, you know me, guys. I'm an artist. I really, really like art. And to get something as beautiful as these two pieces to be able to put in the house, I mean, these are not easy things to find. And to have something so grand like this that I feel matches the grandness of the house. I think these two pieces are going to be absolutely incredible here. David, I cannot thank you enough, man. It was such a pleasure meeting you. By the way, David, nicest guy in the world, guys. Just like most of you guys, like you guys have always been so very kind to me, probably more kind to me than is necessary. But yeah, I can't thank you enough. Now these are not going to be living in here while I'm doing construction. They're just here for the time being. I'm gonna hold on to these because I do have that tour coming up. And so I wanted to display them and share a little bit about the story of you guys during this tour as well. And so David's gonna be a part of that. Now I know a lot of you guys have sent me a lot of things recently, and I really need to get to talking about those pieces. I haven't had a spare moment, but David just kind of on a whim dropped by. He said it was coming through, and I have the pieces kind of readily available. Most of the other smaller pieces that I have are kind of between here, my father's house, and my house. So I need to kind of collect everything together, get me and Kim together again, and go through and discuss all of the amazing things you guys have sent us. So if you guys are waiting on one of those videos, it will be coming soon, I promise. I've just got to gather everything up, that way I can show and display and give you guys the respect that you guys have given me by sending me these amazing pieces. So that video will be coming, I promise. I haven't forgotten about you, so we'll make that happen. I promise. So back down here in the hallway, this is the doorway that door that I've been working on goes to. Or at least it's where it has been recently anyways. I don't think it actually belongs to this door here. I think it actually belongs to this doorway. And the reason why, if you look at the woodwork here, you see that these, you know, normal stuff like we have in the library, same trim. The top block up here is the same as in the library. And then if you see that this piece of trim, basically for the top, it's the same until you get to the very top piece, like right here, on the very top up there, it's actually flat, and then they put a cap on top of it. And that's how the top crown pieces go together up there, right? So keep that in your mind. Now let's come back and look at the pieces up here. See the difference? We're missing the little rosette guys here. We're missing the top little half ball piece up top on both sides, and in the middle blocks as well. It's missing down here as well. And if you look at it, this piece here is actually the exact same piece as up there. It's not flat, and it doesn't have the crown top piece. I think they had some of this wood recut, and they made this opening. I don't think this was originally here. I think this was completely sealed up. You would have had the little window here into the butler's pantry, and I think your entrance to the butler's pantry would have been here, which is on the back side. That's my best guess. I do have to say, I think they did a pretty good job of mimicking the woodwork on this piece here, because it is mimicked pretty well, but it's not exact. So I need to figure out a way to put some of the pieces back on this and make it correct again. Especially that top piece, it kind of bugs me a little bit. Also, these are posted up too high. They need to come down a little bit, and then that top piece will fill in. Because if you see, again, on this side here, it runs almost to the top of that top block there. So, and also you might have noticed already a little bit, me and Kim have been doing some stripping down here. Again, it's so nice to see the curly pine come back out. Oh, I'm in love with this stuff. Especially, I mean, when you first walk in the door, I mean, the side door is kind of the door. This side door is the door I use most of the time. And so when you start out here and you come up inside, it just gives it such an elegant feel. I absolutely love the way this woodwork looks.
And I still can't understand why somebody would want to paint it. Like, why? Like, is that not just some of the most gorgeous stuff you've ever seen? Like, I can't wrap my head around it. I don't understand, but I'm really glad that it was preserved and that this isn't that lead-based stuff. So it's a lot easier to strip this stuff. These doors take, about 2 or 3 hours each to get all the paint off. I've been working on parts of it. Kim's been working on parts of it. This stuff obviously is a little harder because you get the little grooves, but it still comes clean just the same. But man, so I cannot wait for all of this to be shiny and pretty and new. We haven't started on the tops yet because I actually think I'm going to take that whole chunk off, because up here I'm probably going to have to do quite a bit of plaster work. Here in between, I'm not concerned so much. I think this will be fairly easy to not have to worry too much about as far as like getting the plaster perfect. Because again, this hallway, it's going to be wallpaper. So nothing has to be absolutely 110% perfect behind that wallpaper. Then again, I am a bit of a perfectionist, and I will try my best to keep everything as pretty and perfect as humanly possible. Also, little window to the what was the butler's pantry. It's still painted shut on the other side. I checked it. There's no screws or anything holding it in, but it does have hinges on the other side, so this would actually open. But I'm slowly kind of getting that off, all the paint off of this, because I just wanted to see how it looked when it wasn't pure white. And I have to say, it is rather beautiful. Now on all of these pieces too, why we've been stripping them, there has been a lot of shellac that comes with the paint. You can kind of see why it's a little darker over here. Really, that is the shellac. You can kind of see some of it on my finger there, where it's a little lighter over here, and that's me taking this closer to bare wood. But yeah, that's gonna look absolutely incredible. I'm really excited about this space. I think it's really gonna be gorgeous. Now, of course, I think I already told you guys why I decided to do this project versus what I was going to do, which was going to be strip the paint, and that was all to do with the weather. It rained all the way until Thursday night, so it was still too wet to do much of anything Friday. Today, right now, it is Sunday. You'll be seeing this in the morning. Good morning. So basically, I did a test patch of my Peel Away 1 stripper on the front of the building, and that turned out to be fairly successful. So I've used up all the Peel Away I have, just seeing if it would work. And yeah, we got some good results. So let me show you what's going on the front of the building, and that's basically what I'm going to try to achieve more of next week. Now I am having a slight problem getting Peel Away 1 in St. Louis. It doesn't seem like anybody carries it locally. That's a bit of a problem, but of course I didn't want to order a bunch of stuff when I didn't know if it would work or not yet. So I've got to figure out a way to get a lot of it, because I've got a lot of limestone in the front of the building to strip. So yeah, probably 6 or 7 5-gallon buckets are in order. Yeah, and we'll get going on that. So let me take you up front. I'll show you what's going on up there. So here we are at the corner, and you can see kind of what this stuff is looking like and what it's doing. You can kind of see this isn't even, that there's dips and stuff. This is what happens, and actually if I pan up, this is what happens when you paint limestone. This is supposed to be perfectly flat. There's dips and it's divoted and, pitted. Yeah, that's because of paint. The moisture wasn't able to go through. So basically this paint is destroying the front of my house. So I need to get it off as quick as possible. Of course, I didn't exactly know what I was looking at when I first got the place. So, everything's a learning curve, right? Had I known how bad this truly was earlier, I would have been on it earlier. I also didn't know what was on this. I mean, of course it's paint, but I didn't, know the ins and outs of paint on stone. Of course, now I understand lime wash and all that stuff. And I'm slowly working through it, but man, that is brutal. But let me show you what I've done about it. So you can see, got a clear line here. No paint, all paint. This was done with the Peel Away, and this is straight back to stone, back to basic stone. I've also got this entire bottom area stripped, so that's doing good. And you can see under here, I threw some stripper on here. It didn't peel away back to it. I can't imagine the house being covered in this color. but it looks like at some point it was. Yeah, ooh, that would be really, really ugly if that were all the way up. But yeah, so you can see how much I gotta strip. Some pockets are coming off, like up here. Same thing here, that's all coming off. But I've thrown some of the peel away up here, and so this stuff will be coming off next week. So yeah, that's as much as I had in my little bucket. But like I said, I'll be getting some 5 gallons here soon. This was just like a gallon. So yeah, we'll start getting it off. And in 2 days, I will pull all this stuff off and you guys can watch that all happen. So that's the front of the building. Hopefully I can get enough product of that peel away one in before the end of the week. And that way you guys can see more of that go on. I definitely want to get as much of that paint as humanly possible off the front of the building. But of course I am now racing winter. If I can get everything in and get all the tools I need, then yeah, I think about 2 weeks I could probably have the entire front of the building stripped. The peel away one works really great. It does take 2 days though to sit on the building before I can remove it and remove the paint with it. So, and I'm sure there's going to be a piece here and a piece there that doesn't want to come off, that's a bit stubborn. Everything's always like that. You're always going to have that one problem area. I am also getting that tool that was supposed to be here today, or this week. I should be getting it next week. Ideally, the dealer that we're going for, I'll just reveal it to you. I bought a boom lift. But the dealer had to replace a part with it and this and that, and it's always a bit of a mess, right? If you guys go out to try to buy anything right now, and I mean anything, it's a pain. We're living in strange times and it's really hard to get items in. So if you need to get certain bits of work done and you need a certain tool or you need a certain item, certain little things are just almost impossible to get. And it's a bummer because, you know, I'm very kind of, I need the tool now, you know, and it just, it is what it is, right, guys? You live and you learn, and you try to be better about planning ahead, or at least I do, because it's something I don't do very well. You know, I'm kind of, you know, wait until I absolutely need it, and then I need it now. It's a bad habit to have, but it's who I am, you know, it's my character, so I'll get better about that. We'll plan a little bit more ahead. I think, you know, we've almost been going a year now, and I think this whole thing has been really slow. But I think as time goes on, this next year is going to be the defining factor. I will be living in this building next year, or this house. I will be working a lot harder because I have more time because I'm in the house. More things are gonna happen, and 2022 is my year. We're in this house this year. It's the year of Charles S. Brown's house, and we're really gonna get it back together. So that's the video this week, ladies and gents. It's been a fun one. A bit of a slow progress at its finest. A lot of rainy day tasks, but things are coming together. You know, I think the door is a good glimpse into the future of what the grandeur of the house is going to be. I think seeing a lot of the paint come off, or well, a little bit of the paint come off the front of the building, and kind of realize that most of the stone structures in pretty good shape and solid and straight. And I think there's going to be a lot of really beautiful things in the future for this lovely, lovely house. And yeah, it's been exciting. You know, it has been. This whole project's been exciting. And as always, I'm so happy you guys are here with me, enjoying and enduring the painfully slow process that is restoration of a house on this scale, mostly by myself. But yeah, it's been wonderful, and you guys are a big reason why it's been so wonderful. So thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week, and I'll catch you guys next week. Bye-bye.